If you think stepping away from the status quo has to be complicated, you're probably doing it wrong. We're here with Brittany Fank, and we're going to be talking about how to use how to scale your business using sustainable, simple systems. We talked about how all the S's were complicated before this, so here we go.
We really shouldn't have thrown in all the S's.
No, we probably shouldn't have, but that's okay. That's okay, because that's what we're all about. And it kind of reminds me, this is going to be off tangent, but that's just what we do. It reminds me of Taylor Swift, because in one of her songs in the Midnight's album, she does that, and it's totally a nod to her. And this is branding. This is marketing, people, just to let you know. This is totally a nod to her snake reference that she's constantly making. She has attached herself to this like snake image, and it is her like, well, if you don't know the drama behind that, you should look it up. That's all I'm going to say.
That's all I'm going to say.
But this always reminds me of it. Anyways, Brittany Fank's here, and she's going to tell us a little bit about herself and why creating a sustainable business using simple systems is so important to her, and why it should be important to you.
Thank you so much, Shauna. I'm so excited to be on here. So a little bit about me. I call myself a systems specialist because that is how I got started in my business, was really systems. It kind of like fell into me more than me finding it. I was like, oh, all right, this is pretty cool. This is really good. And this is basically uncovering a lot of things that I didn't really realize that I had skills for, and realizing I did a lot of these systems, and I was creating all of these systems in my life and for other people, for myself, just to like make things easier. I think ease and flow is like really important. It's like core values right here, ease and flow, and making things easier. So where some people say, oh, that's the lazy way. Oh, that's just, trying to cut corners. I'm like, no, that is easy. That is trying to find the path of least resistance, trying to make things that are just, that feel good and easy and flowy and aren't difficult and complicated. So that is what I'm all about in all across the board, life, business, whether we are homeschooling and just trying to get this concept and it's not going the way we planned. It's taking that break, stepping away from it, coming back, revisiting it in a totally different way. It's, really shifting. It's a lot of flexibility in your life, and really being able to be okay with a unsure footing, like right when you feel, oh yeah, things are going well, it feels good, and then the rug's pulled out from under you, something changes, right? Because that's life, it always happens. And you're able to take the time and space you need, reconnect, and take that moment to pause, really kind of do that deep work of, for me, it's journaling. I like to write down, I like to kind of process through things, and then take that time and then kind of see what those action steps are next. So what's the next tiny step I can take to like keep moving forward?
Yeah, absolutely. And I find now this is going to be, I've known Brittany for a little while now. And so the way our conversation goes is going to be kind of all over the place. So you may or may not be expecting me to kind of throw things at you here, but you come from teaching, right?
I do. Yes. So I come from Montessori teaching.
Yeah. So this is really interesting. And I'd love to hear, because we're talking about scaling businesses, and now we're talking about life, and now we're talking about teaching. So what I'd love for you to do, if you could, is just to describe like, how are those skills transferable in such that like we see how important it is across the board to have this flow, to have these systems in place. And I'd love to hear kind of your take on the transferability of being intentional about your systems and simplifying them, and like the importance of simplifying them, overarching and then specific to business. So I guess your journey in that space. That was a really roundabout way for me to say that.
That's perfect. Yeah. So, I mean, it really looking at your setting of like, so I was starting in classrooms. So the systems for classrooms were obviously way different in some ways, you might think, not in others though, compared to business and on life and how you're looking at systems. It's really looking at whatever was done before you. I feel like kind of like taking that step to see, what have other people done before me? What was the way before, and kind of honoring that, because I feel like you always end up stepping on someone's toes and, oh, we've always done it this way. This is the way we've done it, especially in corporate space or, traditional business sense, like there's a way that things are done, and honoring that and saying, okay, well, that's great that they were done this way, but how can we improve on that? Let's not chuck out everything. We're not saying let's start from scratch. Sometimes that is necessary, but a lot of times you can kind of revisit what's been done before and look at how you can improve things. Is there a way that we can make it easier for ourselves, easier for the clients, easier for the customers, in the classroom setting, easier for the students, the parents, right? Whatever setting you're in, let's look at how we can make this easier. We can make this quicker. We can communicate better. We can really improve overall happiness. Like, we want people to be happy. We want people to understand what it is that you're trying to communicate with them. Do they understand it? Are they, checking in with them with different points along the process, I think is really important. So whoever it is you're working with, it's really being able to stop at different points and kind of have that conversation. How are things going? Could they be better? Along that path, you often find like there's issues, right? There's tech glitches, there's systems that aren't going well. We had this vision for this system and it totally went the other way, and that's okay, right? It's looking at that and figuring out, okay, well, how can we save this? Can we save this? Do we need to start from scratch? Do we need to go back and look at the drawing board of here's where we had this vision, and how can we get back to where we wanted to go? So it's really taking that time throughout the journey and having those conversations with everybody and not leaving anybody out. Because I think that's a big part of it, is a lot of times like, well, it's just me. I'm the one in charge of creating the systems, but that's not true at all. You are definitely not the only person. So even if you, as the business owner or as the head teacher, whatever it is, your role is, it's really looking to other people and having that community, that collaboration, knowing that, more minds, different perspectives, right? When you're putting all of that together, it's magical. You're seeing things through different lenses, as if we all have like different pair of glasses on. We're all looking at the same thing, but seeing it in such a different way. So being able to put all of that together and use those strengths that everyone has to be able to create something beautiful, some simple systems that are going to help you and help whoever it is you're working with. That's kind of that end goal. And knowing that you're never done. Like, it's never, okay, we've got this thing, this is great, it's working well, until guess what? They release some new tech thing, or there's, a bug, or there's always things that are happening. And so you're always having to change that. So putting like a recurring date on your calendar, I would say at least at the very least, like every quarter, every 3 months, so that you're looking at what systems you do have, and you're just checking in with your clients. It could be super informal on a call with them. Oh, hey, just wanted to check in, see how your experience has been. Do you have any feedback about this? If there's something that you're thinking about, one specific system, or just in general, kind of having a couple of quick questions that you can just slip into a conversation or send a quick email about, quick survey. It could be something super informal that you're just kind of gathering this data to kind of see, okay, things are going well in here, but someone said this, and then kind of gets you going, gets you thinking about things and really looking at how you can improve it. And it's always that process. So for me, that's really exciting. And other people see that as like, oh my God, this is never going to end. You're telling me I have to have simple systems and I always have to keep changing them? Like, what is this chaos that you're talking about?
It seems so contradictory, right? A simple system,
right?
but it's always changing. System. It's like trying to get to class in Hogwarts and the freaking stairway changes. What the heck? You'd think it would be.
What are you doing?
but because the system is simple, it's easier to navigate when those changes inevitably happen. So you're better off with the simple system than a more complicated one.
A more complicated one. And a lot of times when I say change, it's more, I call them tweaks. So not necessarily changes. It's like, it's a tweak. It's something so minor. It's not this big, huge change. And yes, there may be times when it is a big change. Like if you're switching from, one tech program to another, there's going to be a lot of changes that come with that. You're not talking tweak. But within, the same tech program, and they just release this new thing that's going to actually be better, that's a tweak. Okay, so something small. And a lot of times you're making these tweaks through, in all of your systems. Maybe it's just some of them, but you're making these tiny tweaks. So it's not something, major. So kind of reframing your picture of what that is, and then knowing that, so those changes are going to happen at some point in time. But those are changes if you really are kind of looking at your goals and where you're headed and your business growth, if you're looking at that from this perspective of where you're at right now, knowing, okay, this is where I want to go and this is where I'm headed. I think these systems are going to be solid, that I can continue using them and they will grow with me. Then you'll be making those big changes far less than if you aren't really thinking of that sort of big picture. And I know that's not necessarily everyone's skills. Some of us are just, we're in the weeds and we're really great at that. But being able to sort of zoom out and look big picture is really difficult for some. And, honoring that and knowing, maybe that's someone that you could tag in. Maybe it's a contractor, maybe it's an employee who's amazing at that and is super awesome at big picture and can always hold that vision for you. So even if you can't do it yourself, that you have someone who's able to kind of work with you on that. So holding that vision and is like, no, we're not going to abandon ship. We're not going to change this thing, because you get shiny object syndrome and you hear, everyone's moving over here and you're like, yes, I want to do that too. And they're like, no, stay the course. This is where you're at. This is where you're headed. It is okay. We are, this system is working well for us. It's working well for our clients, our customers, our people. There's no need to abandon it just because it's this latest trend or because, you hear about it from somebody and it looks great. I'm all for, playing around in other texts and checking it out, seeing what it's about, but file it away, like have a system, a place to put it so that you've got, these are all great resources and maybe one day, but for now, it's okay because this is fine. It's working well. And I don't need to put in all of that work because it's a lot of work to change a big software over from one to another. Talking big time commitment or financial commitment, depending on if you're doing it yourself or you're hiring, a contractor, an employee or something to do that for you. You've got to learn to navigate this whole new thing. And that's going to take a lot of hours. So really looking at the sort of pros and cons of that, keeping that big vision in mind, that big picture is really going to help sort of ground you into that. So you don't have that FOMO of like, oh, all right, I missed out.
Yeah. And that's something that we talk about a lot here is this idea of being in alignment with the big goal, right? And to making sure that those shiny objects, as you describe them, aren't taking you off the path, making it take longer and to get to those big goals, or even completely diverting yourself from achieving those goals, which is, and this is the power of systems. And with regards to the different aspects of life in which systems can be used, as a teacher, as a parent, as a homeowner, as a in a relationship,
person,
all of these things, right? There are so many different ways. And along those lines, within your business, there are a multitude of different areas that require different types of systems. And with regards to, and I mean, this is something that I love. So in the marketing space, whenever I'm supporting people with their marketing, I find that they're surprised by how systematic marketing can be in order to make it simple, sustainable, maintainable, all of those beautiful things that we want in all aspects of our life, but that we seem to forget when it comes to different parts of our business. And it's kind of this idea, I was thinking about this earlier when you were talking about, actually, I don't even think it was I don't think it was live. I think it was, we were talking about the lazy person or the person who just like finds the quickest way to do something. And there's a quote out there, isn't there, by Steve Jobs or something like that. He's going to find the lazy person because they're going to find the fastest, most efficient way to do it. That's a system. That's the systems, right? So like if somebody like Steve Jobs is the person who's going, yeah, I want that, then this is something that you should be taking note of as a business owner. Wow, I really need to systematize my marketing. I really need to systematize my onboarding. I really need X, Y, Z. Systematize my systems.
Yes, pretty much.
Before. Yeah. So it's so important, and yet people forget about it. So I want to know then, how do you feel like it sounds scary, right? Okay, but where do I start? How do I, if I don't have the systems in my life and business at all, or they're not working for me, where do I start? What's the first step?
Yeah. So that's a great question. And one that I always get a lot is like, okay, but I don't have any system. So like, which one do I freaking do first? Like, point me in what direction? Like, I'm a bobblehead here, just tell me what to do. And it really feels to me like the one that feels the most important to you, which one is the biggest fire, the one that is you're always struggling with, you hate it the most, the one you avoid, that's the one you need the most, because you're always avoiding it. You're always, bumping up heads on it, right? Whatever it is, like the issue is with you not doing it. It's probably because you really need that system even more of a reason. But looking at like the essential systems that you need, I kind of have like two buckets I put it in. Like these are the essential ones that you absolutely need to run the bare minimum in your business. So obviously your sales. If without sales you have no business. Your marketing kind of ties into that, right? So your sales and your marketing. Like without those systems, you don't have a business. You're not putting yourself out there. You're just sort of behind the scenes, and that may be okay in some phases, but you definitely need those. And then looking through like your clients, what is the actual work you do with your clients? Are you having conversations? Are you emailing? Are you using an app to communicate? Those are the systems you need next. So being able to do that with your clients, those sort of like three categories. And then from there, it's your own business. And I like to call it like your business hub, like your business house, where are all of the things stored that you need for your business? So your business admin, your bookkeeping, your marketing assets, your branding, all of those pieces that you have, and they're almost always digital. You're not going to have, a bunch of paper things anymore. Some people may
have a filing cabinet behind
yeah,
us.
have a filing cabinet, right? It's all on your computer. So you have to have a way of organizing it that makes sense to you. And that's what matters the most in all of this is your learning style, your skills, and being able to look at that as strengths in creating your systems. So you're not creating a system for somebody else. You're creating a system for you or for your business, for your team to use. And it has to play to your strengths, your skills, your vision, your everything. Without that, your system is garbage. Yeah. And I know it sounds really harsh, but you're just borrowing someone else's system only to probably get burned in the long run, because you're going to use someone else's system and you're like, great, this coach told me this, or I bought this template and it's great. So this girl does it this way and this is how she does it. And I'm just going to do that. And that could be a great starting point if you're looking at it as from the lens of like, I'm just going to see how they're doing it because I've got my own ideas, but I'm just kind of, looking for some ideas, right? You're learning about it. You're coming through from that lens. But if you're coming through with this, like, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just going to use someone else's stuff, insert here and go, you're going to be really disappointed because it's not going to work for you in probably so many ways. And it's going to cause so much more frustration. You're going to really hate it and end up like, well, I tried the systems thing, it doesn't work, so I'm out. And then basically abandon ship and have sort of mess, this hodgepodge of things that you've been using from a little bit of here, a little bit of there, from everybody, trying to make this like duct tape system thing work. And that's ugly.
Yeah, right. And it's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of mental capacity, your bandwidth. Like it's like, it's a waste of money. Like bottom line, I mean, I'm going to say this over and over again. People will get tired of me saying this. Money, we need it, sure. But our most vital resources are our time and our energy and our emotional and mental capacity. Those are even more important. And I'm going to argue that this is a massive suck of those if you're not utilizing your systems, creating automations, making sure that you have a process in place so that if you're not a sole prop, you have your team knows exactly what they're doing and when they're doing it. If you are one, then when you get to the point where you're scaling beyond where you're going to wind up being the bottleneck, right? You're going to be the bottleneck. So you need to hire someone in so that you have a system and process in place. You can hand it over to them and say, this is what we do. And you know it already. And that's the way to scale, right? That's the way to take your business to the next level, is to have these things in place. It creates sustainability and overflows into your life. Because then when you have more time, you have more energy, you don't feel stressed, you don't feel like your mind is bogged down. I keep thinking of, whenever I think of my mental capacity or my bandwidth, I think about Bilbo Baggins when he talks to, this is going to sound super nerdy, but this is who I am. When he talks to Gandalf and he says he feels like butter spread too thinly on bread. And just that's the
That
reality.
image. Yeah.
That's the reality for a lot of people who are not using systems that are working for them or not using them at all. And that's problematic because you're sacrificing more than just your business success. You're sacrificing your enjoyment of life, right? That's like, let that sink in. That's huge. Now, I wanted to know a little bit more about your view on this because we touched on it briefly, but I often, if anybody doesn't know, for any guests that come on, we start to kind of explore the topic and then I say, stop, shh, stop. I don't want to hear la, 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 because I don't want to talk about it until we're here. So all of these conversations are very raw and they are what they are. So what I want to hear from you, Brittany, is tell me a little bit about how these systems have created simplicity for you and your clients in business, but then how they've spilled over into your life. Tell me a little bit about what that looks like, and what you've seen it look like for your clients. And then I'm going to ask you one final question to close us off.
Perfect. So really for my clients, it's looked like a lot of, in the beginning parts, I call them mind map sessions. And it's really to kind of dig into the business owner, the way they do things, why they do things that way, and really learning a little bit more about them. So like what their skills are, what they really love, what they really hate, and knowing those things really give me a very clear picture of them. And then also we do some like future casting, what is your vision? Where are you headed? Are you looking for simplicity? Are you looking for growth in simplicity? Are you looking for like this big team? Are you a solo person? Do you want to keep it that way? Having all of those questions kind of really thought through before we are digging into all of this really makes that difference in the systems that we're setting up, because we want them to be sustainable. We want them to be something that are growing with us and not something that, you're like, well, I'm not really sure I'm on the fence with this. Then it's time to kind of sit and really get that answer, because if not, and you're kind of all over the place, you're going to have a system set up that you may use a few times and then you're going to abandon. So really having all of those things, having that clarity, really digging through all of that together. And then we can sort of lay that map for, this is how this is going to work. This is how it's going to flow, and really connecting all of those automation pieces together. So looking at everything holistically and how everything is working together, how it's all intertwined, and really connecting all of those sort of tech pieces together is where that sort of magic happens. And
what does the magic look like? Like I'm envisioning
it
this.
Looks so
like,
messy.
Okay. So when you've done this with me and you've helped me create this beautiful system, people systems, tool systems, tech systems, all that stuff. And now we're done it. We did it, right? The magic of Brittany. Now, what does my life look like?
So now we haven't parted ways yet. We're still working together, but in a way that I'm in the back seat, you're in the front seat. You're the person who is using all of these systems that are set up. You're learning how to use them. I'm always there in the back seat if you need anything, you've got questions. I broke something. I don't know how to do this, or how do I do this thing? So I'm always there as that teacher, that guide, helping you as you're learning through this. You're fumbling your way through these new systems, and that usually takes at least a month, sometimes 2 or 3 months, depending on the person, their business, and the complexities that we've set up for them. But it's having that resource and being able to say, you can do this now, and taking the training wheels off. You are going to go in and you're going to use the systems, and you're going to get used to it yourself, because you're the business owner. You're the one who's doing it, and the team as well. If the team is a big part of it, then they're getting used to it. So having that usability, that time to use it and work out those kinks and figure out any hiccups along the way, we're refining the system during that time. If there's, minor tweaks that need to be made, we're adjusting things here or there, we're doing that during that time. But that is like the sort of messy middle, I kind of call, because it's really messy. You're not sure, you're like a toddler, just kind of like fumbling around, trying to figure things out. But once you do, I usually say it's like 2 to 3 months after, it's so freaking magical, because you come back to me and you're like, oh my gosh, I realize this magic that you're talking about in these systems. Everything does what it's supposed to. It tells me what to do. I don't have to remember my own process, because the way it's set up, it's reminding me of, this is what I need to do. This is what my client needs to do. This is what I need to check on. It's giving you all of those things so that you're not left going, well, who's this person and where are they at in their journey? And what am I supposed to be doing? What are they supposed to be doing? You're fumbling your way around. you have that clarity. It's all written out for you. You know exactly what you're supposed to be doing. The system's working smoothly for the most part, and everything is, it's running. So when you have that sort of at the end, and it takes a while, unfortunately, for that, because you're building these things, they're custom to you. And then after that, you have that learning piece. You cannot skip out on that. And where I see people that don't understand that sort of magical problem, they've shortcutted. They've gotten their systems, I've set it up, but they've abandoned ship. They tapped out. They didn't
You have
use
to have
it.
that stick-to-itiveness.
Yeah,
It's habit
you have to.
formation. This is
It
key.
is
So I don't
so
want to dive
key.
into that right now because that's a whole nother conversation. But
Absolutely.
habit forming is something that came into my brain. The
Yes.
elimination, more or less, I shouldn't set extremes like this, but the at least reduction of choice overwhelm.
Yes.
All of these things kind of add up to make it so that you're working on your business and not in it. And so that you can step away from your business guilt-free and actually enjoy your day-to-day, actually figure out, hey, I'm just really loving soaking into my clients and my kids and my husband and my margarita. I don't care. I'm not judging. I'm just saying, with these, you are able to do that, which is really exciting. So, and I also, something else that really intrigued me was when you were talking about you're in the back seat, you're there, you've got a touch point, and you've got this accountability. Now, I know that you have another way that people can get those touch points from you. And I wanted you to talk about that now, because that's a really important way that people can get in touch with you and stay in your world. If they want to have that sort of freedom, how can they do it? What's the first step?
Yeah. So the first step is really that mind mapping call. I offer those as a standalone as well. So if you are unsure of what working together would be like, it's the sort of a trial, right? We're working together during that call. You're walking away at the end. You have all of these mind maps, which are amazing assets because you can see everything broken down. What happens here. You've got the mind map flow of here's your leads, here's where they're coming from, here's how you're nurturing them, here's your plan. Now here's how we convert them into clients. Here's how you're onboarding clients. Now here's how you're working with clients. Here's how you're offboarding clients if you do that. You're seeing all of that. You're seeing the way you work with your clients. You're seeing all of these systems and processes in a very visual way, color coding. Usually there's, notes and different things that have come up. You're seeing your tech stack laid out. Here's what's current. Here's where we're looking to go. You've got your goals.
How can they get on this? This sounds exciting. This is really exciting, right? Like, so how can people dive into that?
Yeah, absolutely. And like they got to book their call. So that's the first thing.
So where are we finding your booking link? Because I know you have this really cool membership that people can join, but they want to talk to you first so that they know where they're coming from, right? To get into this membership and actually sink their teeth into the systems you guys talk about on the call.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So the membership, I mean, whether you choose one route or the other or both, you have that call, which is great, but you also have this membership, and the membership is really for creatives who are full of ideas, but they're getting tripped up with perfectionist tendencies or overwhelm and limiting beliefs that are kind of cropping up. And you've got all of these ideas, but you're not sure, which one to go with, which one is, really weighing on you, or you're just taking forever to release that idea. As I've been in all of those spots. This was really a program that I created because I needed it. I needed it for myself. And I wanted to come with that perspective of, I'm learning this as well. And why not invite some others on the journey with me who are struggling with some of these same things, so we can be there to help and support each other as we are looking and checking in with ourselves first at what we want, checking in with our spiritual practices and things to see, how can I connect with my spirit team? How can I bring that element in? And then I've got the practical side too. So how can I tie all of these things together in a way that feels really good to me and take action from that place, that aligned place where you're just saying, I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to create this thing. I'm going to put it out there and know that I can always change it later. But I'm just going to release it, and I'm going to be okay with releasing it in its current state. And knowing that messy action, and that is it. Is the key.
And messy action with a community who's got your back. And so that's where we
Always.
want to say that, hey, if you want to be in this community, if you want to take advantage of what Brittany is having to offer here, you definitely want to dive in. And she's got this really cool promo going on. If you want to get your first month of the community free, plus it's in beta right now at the time of this recording, whenever you watch this, I'm just saying, this is your chance. Use the coupon code INSPIRED and you're in. You're in. We're going to have the link to access this in the notes, so you can just hop in there and take a deep dive, because truly having all your ducks in a row, so to speak, is going to just give you the next level type of experience in your business and in your life, that it's like you've already reached your dream life and you don't need to worry about those messy things, that those expectations. People think that to get my dream life, first I need X. No, you don't.
There's no qualifications. It doesn't have to be checking certain things off. It's okay.
Hop into this community, dive into a call with Brittany, and just explore what that looks like, what simple systems look like to create sustainable business growth, because it is literally life-changing. Now, with that, I need to thank you so much for chatting with me, Brittany. This has been amazing, and we definitely need to have another call, because I literally have a list of topics that we need to dive into again, either online or offline. It's just got to happen. So with that, do you have any final notes for our guests who are listening today?
I would say, I always like to end with this, like, what is the next tiny step that you can take right now, today? So the teeniest thing that can take like 5 minutes or less to keep moving forward, whether it's systems, whether it's something else, just always simplifying something so small that it doesn't feel hard anymore. It feels easy. I can do that. I can take that one step. I can email that person back. I can, research something. I can do this one tiny thing to keep moving forward, especially if you're stuck, if you've been in that place of like hiding in a cave, just stuck, not knowing what to do, not taking any action for so long. It can feel so dark in that cave and feel like you're never really coming out of that. Like, how do you pull yourself out of that? And for me, that's what's the next tiny step. Take that step and you're out of the cave.
So that's your challenge. That's your challenge for the end of this. And I know Brittany said today, I'm saying to you right now, just from a psychology perspective, once we say goodbye, you have 5 minutes. Pick one thing and do the thing. And then don't just be like, well, I did the thing. Give yourself a pat on the back and go, huzzah!
Celebrate.
I did the freaking thing. It doesn't matter how small it was. Do that.
Dance party.
Future you will thank you. Anyways, with that, you guys have a great rest of your day. And Brittany, we will chat soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Shauna.